Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, guys. Thank you so much for all the love and feedback on the previous video. It did really motivate me to create this transition. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We'll try and break down the animation and recreate, in fact, better than Airbnb, if not the same, right? So I'm just going to play the transition. This is again one of my screen recording. I'm just going to play this out so you can understand what's going on. I'm going to play it 3 times. I'm just going to shut up and just play. And while you're looking at, I want you to actually break down and then see, how many steps are there. Try and understand. I'm not going to speak, right? I'm just going to say like what's happening, but then I'm not going to break it down for you. I'm just going to play now. So I'm tapping on the card, opens up, loads everything, going back, tapping on it, loads everything, tapping back now. Yep. Tapping on it again, opens up. Now I'm gonna swipe it down. Yeah. So essentially we're gonna be recreating a similar experience, right? So I'm just gonna close this down now. So we have, again, I've already done that. So you have the initial state. While you're pressing on it, you have the tapped state, and then when you leave it, right, it opens up, loads the content, loads the information in here. So essentially there are so again, how you're going to be breaking down, I think I want to make it like really helpful in the sense not only being able to recreate this, but then also trying to understand why they have done certain patterns in here, and then how you can actually reuse it to create something on your own later. So that part is really important. So again, I don't want to like do it like really fast as well, so like trying to understand why certain things have been made certain way, so that will actually help you. So what I've done on the first to begin with is I've taken a screenshot of Airbnb, right? These are all the screenshots. If you look at the Figma file, you can see IMG, right? So this is like screenshots from the Airbnb. So during this step, like if you notice the animation, there is again first state being the default state, and then when I tap on it, right, as I'm tapping, the UI sort of pushes back again. If there's an image, if I'm tapping on it, first of all, like as I'm tapping on it, right, it gives that tactile sort of like similar to tactile, like sort of a feedback that it's going down. That is really nice, right? That just gives you again this could be something which you could use quite often on buttons and etc. So like while pressing, it just sort of like confirms my feedback. It just provides an instant feedback. I feel that's really nice. And when I tap on it, right, when I leave my finger or when I tap on it, it opens up. Again, at this state, they don't have any detailed information. They just show, if you look at this, like 1 out of 6, they just have 6 images loaded in here. They just show the same, plus just the name of the villa. Here they just show MV Maldives, but then they have a different one in here. Not sure why, but we're not gonna question what Airbnb does. Rather, we'll just recreate the same for now. But again, like in terms of transition, so they have the same or basic information here as well, while trying to load more in here. And first they prioritize the loading for the text and images, and then finally the price. So that is the breakdown of that, in the sense that there's like sort of a 5-step process, right? If you look at this, like they have the initial state, while pressing state, and then you have the state where nothing is loaded yet, and then showing the loader here, and now the content is loaded. If you look at the image as well, right, if you look at the images, like initially it was 6, then it becomes 39, right? They load more information there to finally this. So for any sort of animation, right, if you're trying to recreate that, like try and record a video, try to see it multiple times, try to break it down yourself, take screenshots, and then see what's happening, and then also try and understand why they are doing in certain way, right? For example, in this case, let's if I'm to speak for Airbnb, right? So obviously they're calling an API whenever you tap on this, right? They want to kind of fetch more information, and it takes time. So this is why there is a loader in here, and they could have done like from here or from here to, let's say, directly here, but then potentially their API takes a little bit more time to calculate the price, because it also involves cleaning fee and stuff. Maybe, I'm not sure, right? So this is why there is an extra loading time, or this could also be intentionally done to capture user attention, where after the information is loaded, potentially like showing this through animation would be right. I think at this step, if you look at this step, like this step is what I mean, you're potentially like focusing a little bit more on this like towards the end. so sort of also grabbing your attention over there. Going back in here, okay, grabbing your attention back over here. So potentially that could also be the reason. I'm not sure because I haven't obviously been working in Airbnb, but I'm gonna assume either that or just the loading experience, right? But you can start to understand how you can apply this sort of mental sort of a process, right? Like thought process to other areas. Let's say if you're building any other apps, if you're trying to break down other things, you can actually follow a very similar approach and then come up and then try and understand the full process. This is going to be really helpful. Now after that, what we're going to do is, again, for this tutorial I'm just going to be only designing the UI elements where I need animation. For example, I need this card, the text, right? Then I'll also need the full information on the let's say the second screen. So I wouldn't need, let's say, these elements. I could potentially use an image for that. So I've also downloaded these icons from Material Design, and again, these are the closest icons which I could find to kind of replace the Airbnb ones. Not exactly the same, but somewhat close, and added some of the primary colors as well in here. With that in mind, right, so essentially if you look at the loading, how Figma breaks down things is, again, Figma has to say, so for example, if you have two screens, right, if you have two screens, screen A and screen B, if you have an element above on screen A and then an element, the same element, let's say in the bottom for screen B, when you animate between them, like it's just gonna, let's say, from that screen A component being on top to component being on the, let's say, at the bottom, it just automatically transitions. So for any animations to happen in Figma, so you just have to define what the initial state and what the end state is, right? So for us in this case, the initial state would be this, right, and then the end state is this. But it's not as simple as that, in the sense like we have to create multiple states, so that like, so we have to break it down. So this is why it's really important to keep it in this sort of a flow, where then your Figma can easily break it down. Okay, how many steps are needed, right? You can have each of this could be a different screen on its own, and it's gonna be helpful for animating a complex interaction such as this one. Because like if you look at this one, right, so what I have already done, it has actually 5 stages, like 1, 2, like if you look at loading this, loading the price information, etc., and then the tapped state, right? So all these are built in a very similar way. I think it'll be more clear while we're looking at the actual tutorial. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. First of all, what I'm going to be doing is, again, copying this screenshot and then pasting into, say, so created this artboard, right? So if you look at this artboard, so it just has an image, right? And now couple of things we need to be mindful is, again, we need, so this is my status bar. I'll probably hide it. So let's say I'm going to hide the status bar because like I want to use a common pattern which actually changes for both, because we don't want any movement there. So I'm just going to replace it with so I have a black and white version of the status bar here. I'm just going to replace it with that. We'll also hide the bottom bar. Similar scenario, right? I'll just use my own bottom bar. For example, I can just copy paste, put it down. Now initially I think it'll be black. Command C, Command V, putting it above, and we also don't need the image, so I'm just also gonna hide that as well. Like if you look at in here, so I have hiding the image as well. I'm just gonna hide that as well. So these are starting, so this is the background, right? So we're gonna just now put the image designs in here. So I've already created the UI for that. So essentially, like what I've done is, like if you look at this one, just like drawing the rectangle exactly on the same on top, and then also trying to find the closest font sizes and etc. to kind of recreate that. So nothing major, right? So what I'm going to do is, again, now so once, since all of these are hidden away now, I can potentially say select all of them, put it in frame selection, right? Put it in a different frame, okay, because it's going to be useful for later on when we animate. Okay, so being that said, I'm just gonna now, again, I have the image in here. So what this image has is, again, within the image there is a slider, the slider, and then just an image. So both of them are grouped under image. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it here, and we also have, let's say, the text. I'm just gonna name it as text. So text, within text there's just a text, and then a white background behind, because if you look at the animation, right, if you look at the animation as it happens, so if you look at the animation while it's happening, right, so if you look at the how this one, right, if you look at the state in here, so there is a white background behind the text, and it's almost taking, I think, like it's almost taking up the whole space, but we might not do the whole thing, and it expands to become the full state, right? So that's one thing which is happening in the animation. So we need to kind of provide something similar behind the text. And then also, if you look at the other thing is like while this is happening, like again, you tap on this, it opens up. While this is, like, for example, like this is the image, right? Okay, you tap on it, you tap on this, and then it opens up. While this is opening up, the existing screen, it pushes away, so it just scales down a little bit. So that's a bit more detailed if you look at this, right? So this is opening up at the same time. If you look at the screen behind, it's scaling down. Sorry. So that is something I think we need to do in a similar manner. If you also look at this, there is also a little bit of rounded corner for all of them. So what I'm going to do is like keep something really similar. So if you look at going back to the design, so I'm just going to put the, maybe I'll also make it smaller or potentially keep it here. Okay, so essentially we will now also for this frame, I'm going to name it as, say, screen 1 background. Okay, and this is image, which is fine. Status bar and device elements, those are going to go on top. These are not aligned well. Just going to center align, all good. Now we have the image, perfect. I'm going to also copy the text elements from here, put it behind the image. So on the hierarchy we have status bar, all these things are on top of everything. Then we have the image, text, then you have the background. So I'm going to also add a clip content and then say a little bit of, let's say, 40 rounded corner. So again, when we animate and all, so we already had, let's say, some like let's say corner radius here, and then it'll be a bit nicer like when you actually do the animation. So that I think is perfect for the first screen. Oh sorry, we have also missed the heart icon, because if you look at the initial one, right, there is a heart icon as well. So what we'll do is, again, I have a heart icon in here, which I've created. I'm just going to copy that, come back here, paste the heart icon, place it somewhere here where 16 from top and right hand side. That's great. Okay, now I'm going to create another screen, right? Call it as B, because the second state is like B, right? And say so at this state what I want is now first of all, right, this goes above, so I need images actually taking up full screen in here, like around the space. So I already have created the UI, so I know it takes about 296 by 375. So I'm just gonna keep the same 375 296, which apparently I think they reduced the height of the image. Interesting. We have 375, and then central and everything. Also potentially remove the overlays. Potentially I think we'll also keep the round corner of let's say these corners. I still want to keep it 40 maybe. I'm just going to keep that, let's say 40. It's fine. Then the heart icon, it has to be so let's check. how much spacing do they give. So if I've already created this, right? Create about, I think, 9, but I think we'll keep it 8, multiples of 8 always. So let's say from left, let's say 16. I think it'll maybe 24, I don't know, because usually Airbnb, okay, 16 is fine. Okay, great. So we have 16, and from top, let's say 8. Okay. Now the other thing is in here, we also need the other icons. We have again the back, share, and all these icons. What I'm going to do is, again, I have already created these in here. I'm just gonna copy these. So copy these and drag it over where we are designing. So essentially, as I said earlier, Figma needs 2 states. It needs state A and state B. One of the other thing which Figma needs is every element in state A needs to be on state B. Meaning, if you have a text in state A, and then if you have that text moving into some different place in, let's say, state B, you need to have the you need to have that text in both of the places. So for example, in our case, we have, let's say, back, share, heart, and this counter, and etc., which we don't have in the initial state, but ideally we should have for both. And the other thing is, I think I'm also just change from black to white as well, so you have the status bar automatically changing. So what I'm going to do first is now, potentially again for the heart, I'm keeping the same naming here. If you keep the same name and then replace the old one, Command Shift Option V, replacing it. So that's going to be get replaced. 16, 8, fantastic. Also going to drop the back and share, top align. Move it a little bit in here, probably 8, I think. Was it 8? Yep. And keeping this on the with the 16 padding. So with this much, I think it should be good. And then also, I think we should also move these one again, putting it in the center, keeping it slightly above, say 16. And I'm just gonna hide that as well. So I'm just going to say the opacity to 0. So even if you're removing things, right, for example, like this element should be removed in here. Again, if you just delete it, right, it's just going to disappear here. But then what we want is, we want it to kind of open, like move up and disappear. So you have to kind of say the end position of this is here, and then you're saying now opacity down to 0. So it understands the state A, state B, automatically transitions. So we're just making everything super easy for the Figma later on to work. So again, we're also dropping in now the counter. I'm just going to Command X, go to the image here, Command V, also keeping it 16. Okay, wait, 16, right. I think that's perfect. We have yeah, that's perfect. Now the other thing is, we also have the text. Text actually moves up, right? Again, obviously we need to replace with this text, but first thing being, this moves on top, and about at this position we can just need to hide the text, because like the new text will appear. At the same time, within the text we have a background as well, so we can expand that background to fill the whole space, which essentially, I think before even filling the whole space, we also need to make a little bit of push to the background behind. So for example, like we already have this background, let's create one background. We can also do is, like what we're going to do is, we're going to create a scale, and use a scale, and then scale it down a little bit, let's say about that much, so a little bit more. Okay, that should be fine. And then cover the with this one, let's say the whole screen. but still keeping the bottom parts as 40 and 40. So now what should really happen is, like, right, this should open up in a really nice way. Let's try to select the item you want to animate on, draw it here, automatically comes the interaction details. So again, on click, navigate to B, all good. Let's say smart animate, ease out works for fine for now, but then we'll also adjust and then move to custom bezier later. But I'm just checking right now whether it actually works. I'm just going to play now. Let Figma do the magic. I'm also going to say prototype, show prototype settings. I'm just going to use a iPhone 13 mini or something, so we have some nice background. Cool. Tap on that, opens up. Tap on that, opens up. Tap on that, opens up. One problem I'm seeing is, so there is everything else works, but then if you look at the share, right, like it coming from below and then moving left, I don't want it to be like that. Why this is because, like, we haven't defined where the share button would be initially, so that is causing the issue. Let's also check for this as well. We haven't also done the counter as well. I don't know if I have added a counter inside the image. No, I haven't added a counter. How does that also work? If you look at, yeah, the counter also, right, like appearing a bit randomly. So to fix that, we need to have, again, as I said initially, all the elements needs to be on state A and state B. Rule number 1. I apparently terribly failed at rule number 1, right? But again, that's how you learn. You practice, you look at the same things multiple times. Okay, Command Z, same things multiple times. So it's similar to how you would do usability, user testing and stuff, where you look at the what's happening as soon as I'm just going to do Command Z. So everything is now in image. Instead of moving, I'm just going to use the keyboard, because as I'm moving, it just moves to different items. That's weird. I'm just going to keep 16 from right and left. Perfect. Same for here. Let's say I'm just going to say 16 from here, probably 8. It should be fine. Then I'm just gonna turn the opacity down to 0. Let's check if it's actually working right. I'm just gonna tap R on my keyboard to kind of refresh it. Tapping on this. Okay, that works. Share and these buttons really work. We just need to fix the counter as well now. So if I go back in here and then tap on the counter, come back here, paste it, then put it inside here, 16, reduce the opacity down to 0, going back here again. Yep, all good, everything works now. Notice also what happens behind as well, right? As you're tapping on it, like the other thing pushes down, which is nice, but then the animation is not quite well. So because we need a little bit of more bounciness as well. So I think I think if you look at the previous one in here, right, it has some more energy, right? Like that's all about the animation, where if we add some custom animations, it's gonna look great. That sort of a feeling is not there. It just feels a bit dry. I mean, the animations there just feels like lifeless, I guess. So moving on, what we'll be doing is, give me a second, going back here, prototype, so smart animate, say from here now we'll say is out, custom bezier. So we'll look at, maybe potentially we could do, wait, so what it's gonna do is, I think it's gonna oh sorry, let me try that. Oh, that's too spring sort of. Nope, definitely nope. So you can try with different animations, and I think maybe it just should be around this, also a bit same like this. I guess it's fine. Yeah, that is more like not too much. Also looks a bit better. And if I go back in here and then if I actually check my the previous one I've done, I'm using this. Interesting. I'm starting fast and then ending super slow, and then also using 400 ms, which is interesting. If I use, let's say, 400 ms, starting super fast and ending super slow, going back here, tap on this. Yeah, 400 ms is a bit more nicer. It also feels a bit slow as well. Let's go back in here, maybe make it, oh sorry, Command Z, make it a bit more faster in here. But that's too fast for my liking. It's going to reduce. So again, try with a different animation, right? I think if you're, again, I don't think you are a beginner, because like this video is like meant for a pro, but again, like go through these different types of animations first if you're not familiar with the custom Bezier. You can also potentially do a separate tutorial altogether, trying to adjust different things and then how it works, right? Again, the key thing is to kind of play around, try different values, see how that works, and if you don't like it, change it, right? Just go back and then fix it. Obviously you won't get everything on the first try, so the idea is to kind of practice, spend more time, get yourself comfortable, so you get to a stage where you're happy with. Okay, now I don't think we need this. I'm just going to create these items. That's the first step. Second step, I already have the details of this saved in here. So for example, like all the UI elements of these elements in here already detailed out. Then also have the elements for these as well. So first what I'm going to do is again paste it there, right? Command C, Command V. So we'd have, let's say this is content and we have the price information, right? So this is again a frame. And then we also have a group content which says price. So first of all, now if you look at this, if I just leave it like that and then tap on this, right, that's weird, like what's happening. First of all, on this stage we won't even know the price, so essentially we could just potentially hide it. I'm just keeping it because like we'll need it later, so we can I think instead of hiding, I'll just keep it for now. And then also if you look at the price, right, if you look at the Airbnb transition, you look at the Airbnb transition of how the price appears. Like if you look at in here, this loads in, then the price comes in at the state. So it comes from the bottom, and then when you close it down, right, the price again goes to bottom, or again the whole thing is, I think, the within a frame. And then going back, so we won't do something similar, but rather what we'll be doing is instead I'm just gonna copy the price component right from here, then also keeping it on the first one because I think later on will be useful for us, and then hiding it from the primary view. Also gonna say clip content, so that's not gonna be shown, which is probably fine. And then also we'll use the pass through and then keep the opacity down to 0. Right, so we have the first stage pretty much sorted out, right? We just need to hide these information though. So even on this step, price is still not shown, so I think we'll need one more step. Just gonna move these elements in here, so we'll duplicate this and then say C. So at the state B we wouldn't have, let's say, any of these, so we'll hide it, say 0, also keep it below. Use 0 opacity, also use clip content here as well. Now it's pretty much the same as before, but then from this state to the next state, right? When we transition, the elements will come from below, so it's just gonna be coming from bottom to top. So this is why it's important to keep it down. Now for this, what we will be using is a shimmer. To create those shimmer, what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm just gonna quickly create a small rectangle, right? So let's say about the size of one rectangle, which is probably the size of, I think it's fine, like we can use potentially any size. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a rectangle, any size in here, that's fine. I'm going to create a rectangle and make that as a component, add another component. First of all, for the rectangle, I'm going to use scale for both width and height, same for this as well. Scale. So essentially I need two states for the animation to happen. If you look at the animation which I've created on here, right, it just switches between, let's say, dark and light modes, like while the transition happening, right? Dark and light, that's how the loading is indicated. I want to create something similar, so we will use, let's say, black color with 5% opacity and another state with black color with 10% opacity, and then it just kind of flit between the two of them, right? And if I use, let's say, if I use any of this outside, I can essentially resize it to kind of make any of the ones I want in here, and would potentially work. Coming back here, first thing I want to do is, I think this is potentially fine. Now this is again 5%, 10%. What I'm going to do now is, again, also name this say loader, and I'm going to go to prototype, say from this state to this state automatically go, say on, not on tab, because I think we need, like, we don't want to create, we need a micro transition happening on the same screen. So what we'll be doing is, like, not on tap, instead of on tap I'm just going to change it to after delay, and then say 0 delay, so essentially automatically happening. I wish if Figma gives an option for because every time, like, I have to change it to 1, it's like, I think, like, actually a lot of people actually use it. Potentially they could give an option in here. Just a shout to Figma. From here, this is fine. Instead of smart animate, I'm going to just use I think smart animate is fine. Instead of the custom visual, I'm just going to keep it linear. The motion is happening in a nice way. I'm going to also say maybe 300, 400 is maybe a bit too slow. We can also, I think, maybe 250 or 200. We can try that later. And from here, this state, I'm just going to create back to the previous state, and then say after a delay, 0 delay, smart animate, linear. That's great. So essentially it just switches between these two states. That's perfectly fine for us. Now we already have this in here. I'm going to do Command X. I'm actually do that in Command V in C, right? Because I think initially okay, I'm just gonna do everything in here, and then we'll paste it over there, because I think it'll be easier to kind of recreate similar one around the text itself, so that it's super clear for me. We'll keep it about this width, and we'll also keep everything 24 from left, which is good. Already 24. Command D, moving down, keep it maybe slightly smaller, about this much, fine. Command D. This one is smaller, so I'm just going to use probably this much, and yeah, so reduce the width. I'm just going to actually go back to design. The prototyping thing is showing up all the time, sort of annoying. Command, I'm just going to do this, Command D again, going back here, it's fine, probably a bit lesser. Going back to this one, Command D again, probably about this much, it's fine. Then Command D I'm going to delete that actually. I'm going to just Command D the whole 2 blocks and just place it here. Again, we don't have to be exactly same because like in the content could be something else as well. We're just trying to indicate the closest to one. We don't have to be exactly the same by any means. Even if we have a similar structure, right? For example, in this case, because we don't know whether the content would be 1 line or 2 line, you can just keep it like this. It's fine. And soon after the loading, it's just gonna appear. I think this should be good enough. Now we will actually place all of these inside back here. So I'm just gonna group the whole thing, right? The whole thing is now grouped, and then keep it inside the content, and then say loader. And the other thing is I'm gonna also say all the other loaded content, let's say, also group that, say loaded, just for my easy to understand, right? So later on when I'm animating, it's super easy for me. So if I hide this, so I have a basic structure in here, which I think is pretty good. The only thing now I would do is just like fluctuate between, let's say this is now if I go back here, it should, again, if I tap on any of this, it should give me 2 properties, default and variant 2. Variant 2 should be the 10% opacity one, so we will fluctuate between 5 and 10, and then this also I think needs to be 10. So we have that nice thing happening over there, which is fine, perfect. We're gonna keep actually this on, and loader would be off, so 0% opacity. And we're gonna then copy the whole content thing. Okay, we've already pasted it before. We're gonna delete that and paste this again, but this time we're gonna loaded content. We're gonna reduce the opacity, and for the loader we're gonna do 100%. And the other thing we're going to be also doing is, again I'm going to also show you the animation now, because I think right now when you do the animations, this will appear from a bit random, so we need to also keep it down and then reduce the opacity. I'm already assuming that that's going to happen. So if I see now the animation is happening, like the transition here, right? Just gonna keep doing it for unlimited time, which I think is a quite nice way. I'm just gonna load the content right there, which is fine. The only thing is, like, right now it doesn't have any animation, so in order to fix that, as I said, we need to have same things on both A and B. So if I say copy this content, paste it, but move it down, because obviously it's gonna be somewhere here, right? Now let's say the opacity of this is all the way to 0. I'm also going to actually change the opacity of everything inside as well to 0, so it gives a bit more time to load. Okay, all of them 0. If I go back in here now, this is quite nice. The only thing which I think is a problem, the text is actually overlaying with that, which I don't like. Like, text is not smoothly going. So what I would do is go to the text. So we should have one called text. Go inside the text, and it's already 0. Potentially go inside one more, and then these frame also I'm going to also keep it 0. So that adds a little bit faster animation for the text to disappear. You can also do 0 in here, also 0. This is already 0. Okay, if I open this, I'm also going to add 0 for all of this. That should make at least a wee bit. So let's check that. It hides instantly and shows the oh, sorry, I think initially we would still have the text, so the title of the things, I don't know if I've covered in here, right? No, it just shows it. I think so we need to keep a similar one. So essentially I don't know what's happening to me, I'm missing a lot of these things. So essentially, we need to keep the title there because we already have the title. So all we have to do now is, because we have everything in the component way, super easy, right? Just hide these two, and we can essentially show from the loaded thing, we can say now the whole thing is I think 0, so we'll actually enable all of them. And so we just need this one. Everything else we can actually hide it, so let's say hide everything else but keep only that. Same thing should be fine. So if we yeah, that works, right? So we have this title by default, so basic information is already there, so it's like very similar to what we have in here, where if you look at the second stage in here, it's very similar to that. The other thing is you also need to have the while pressing option, which is, it's going to be really super simple, but tab state is, let's say A.1 or something, because it's not really a loading state, just another state. Maybe you can also say with different naming convention, you can just say 1. Prototype. So essentially what I want to do now is, so again it already has all the prototyping elements you have done in this already copied into this when you copy, so this is good. So we essentially need to scale this down, and when they tap on it, essentially opens up this. So the tap animation is already added here, which is a good thing. All we have to now do is just select, let's say the image, and then select the text, and then use the scale tool, scale everything down, not too much. I think this maybe is a bit too much. Maybe I'm just gonna zoom it down about this much. Not sure. We could try that and then see how that goes. So I need to add, let's say, go to prototype, use move tool, add another. You can actually create multiple. This is really great, right? So you're connecting, so you could say connected this one, instead of drag, say while pressing, smart animate, instead of linear, say ease out, and you can actually use a custom ease out, custom bezier, where how we had the previous one, right? Something like this. If I try that now, yeah, I think that this one is fine, I guess. Yeah, let's not overdo it. Yep, that works, right? That works. Let's also connect, say, from the state B, which is this state, right? From state B, let's also connect the back button to, say, the initial state. So on tap, navigate to A, smart animate, instead of 300, maybe 400. Keep similar, which is fine. Close. So we have, let's say, tap on this, opens up. No, oh, did I do 4,000? Did I do 4,000? Oh my god. Okay, going back here, tap, works rather really fine. Close. Ooh, that's pretty cool, right? That is nice. Okay, let's now, the next state is, so we also have C, which essentially is this state where we need to automatically load in, right? So again, without any user input, as soon as the content is loaded, we need to take the user to the screen. So essentially saying from this to move to this one. So again, tapping on the whole frame, then going to prototype, connecting this one to the next one, This comes up on tap. Now we get a C. Perfect. Not on tap. What is that? Perfect for hand. Okay, 0 after a delay, right? 0 delay essentially. And similar animations of loading this. So I think we could make it probably a bit more faster. We could just keep 200. Maybe I think 300 is fine. Let's see how that works, right? Tap on this. Oh, that's way too fast. Probably simple ease out is fine. Something is happening, which is I think some elements are going up and down there. You see that? Probably because you missed some elements. Let's see what's happening there. I think the lines are probably missing, maybe. To further understand that, maybe we could slow it down to say 4000, right? Two lines moved up. I'm not sure what those two lines are. Trying to understand. Because we don't have. Okay. Could it be the? We could potentially also remove, let's say, the other ones we had, right? We could get the rectangle 11 and 10, which we are not using. We could potentially remove it, delete it. Maybe that's causing the issue. Yeah, 11 actually. Delete that. Try that again. Yep, fixed. Going back here, keeping it 300. Potentially linear is fine. Not linear, I think this out is fine, because we also have this animation coming from the bottom, so that has to be nice as well. So I want to check again Airbnb. Are they loaded? Yeah, they're loading it right here. Okay, that's fine. Makes sense. Going back here, which is perfectly alright. We just need one more state now. C2, let's say I'm just going to duplicate this and then say E, right? So for E, what's happening is right now we haven't loaded the price. So for this, I'm just gonna go back here, rectangle 15, copy, come back inside this, right, and inside the price. So we have basic all the elements. If I copy that in here, right, and say, oh sorry, I don't want to do that. It's a problem using mouse. So potentially I will. It's my keyboard. Adjust in here. Key 1 over there. Increase the width. Command D. Keep one right below, then keep it something like this, which is perfect. And then I'm gonna probably hide these two information, say opacity 0. That's good. Now we have these two information. Now we also need another thing, which if you look at the Airbnb transition, right, is they have a 3 dot sort of a thing happening here, which is like go ups and down. So I've already created one before. I think if you want to speed up the so I already created this in the past one. I'll probably reuse for now. Let's close this again. So I have created this already in here, right? Essentially what happens is, like, again, I have 1 2 3 4 stages. So it's a component, it has different, let's say initially first one is here, second one is slightly above, third one being on the top. And on the second state of the same component, what I'm doing is now the middle one actually goes up while the last one comes down. So essentially, it's like this: the middle one goes up, then this comes down, the next one like this goes up, then both of them comes down. So it's like just repeats the same stuff. So again, for the first one, this is on top, second one is on top now, third one is on top now, and then finally on this one, like everything is sort of down, to kind of again to have the first one being on top. So just, and then after that, like I'm just saying, after delay move to this one, after delay move to this one, after delay move to this one, then finally move back to the initial one. So I'm just gonna again Command X, Command Z. Now coming back here, just gonna paste the same in here, because I think that'll probably be faster. So in case if you have if you want to know more about creating these sort of interactive smaller components, like I also have my previous video. If you haven't watched that yet, please do feel free to watch that. It goes through a bit more detail into how to create that. So right now I've just probably skipped it really fast. If you want to actually watch it, a little bit cool. And if you also like to kind of see more of them, please comment down below. I usually check all my comments and then reply most of the time, like all the time. So please do it. Going back in here, so we have this, right? I'm just going to copy this. So I don't know if the animations also, that's perfect, animations also copied. I'm just going to check if it actually works by Command X. I'm just going to place it on the beginning state. Just want to check if it actually works. Command R. Yeah, that works. That's good. I think copying into different file actually works pretty good. Command X, come back to here in reserve, paste it, then essentially go to design, right align, center align, and potentially reduce opacity back to 0. So this component now has everything. The only thing I think is missing is, I think at this stage on Airbnb they also use the faded one, so potentially we can also use that. So instead of being full opacity, we can use, let's say, 50%. Now this component has everything. I'm just going to copy that, and not sure if I need to copy. Okay, I'm just going to copy that and then paste it here. So all of the things, so for example, first of all we need to hide these elements. 0, these will become 100%. Also this will become 100% on the final stage, and this will also go away to 0%. And then I don't know if that is it. Yeah, 51, perfect. Reserve button will become active as well. Yep. So we have essentially now all the state. We don't need these designs now. I'm just going to delete those. So essentially the beginning state, I'm also going to put these icon states maybe here. Delete those as well. First state, tapped state, content loading, content loaded, finally to this one. I think everything works now. Probably I think the latest component this, I'm just going to copy this and then say even on this one, right? So we had the previous element where the price component, I'm just going to get Command Shift Option V, so it has the latest one. Then reduce opacity. Same for here as well. Say with the price command option, Command Shift Option V, replacing that, keeping it 0 opacity. So now we have connected, I think, this much so far. Now we need to connect from this to this one. So I'm gonna say from this to this, automatically happen after delay, say 800 delay, which is fine. Smart Animate. Ease out. Yeah, that's pretty good with me. If I go back, or oops, what's happening in here? Okay, that's fine. This is probably a bit faster. How the because like the text and these elements are getting overlapped. So what I would like to do is again increase the speed in which it actually goes away. So we already said, I think in here 0%. What I'm going to do is now select all of them. In here also say 0%. So that's going to fix some of those problems. So if I yes, it does fix some of those. Same thing I'm also going to do in here as well. So 0. Okay. That's a bit too fast as well from here. So let's check what's going on. 300 should be fine though. Let's increase it to say 400. 400. And check. Not quite happy with that, but I think it turned out to be maybe we also don't have the lines. I should have also added the lines there, because like we can potentially keep the lines in the previous state as well. So I'm going to actually go in here and then keep these two lines actually active. And yeah, okay, I think that works really nice. Conserve, we have this animation going back to okay, we also have the animation on tap as well. Yeah, I think that's really good, reasonably good. One thing which I would like to now add is, so we need to connect back to all of them in here. So if I say back from here as well, it should take me back into the first one. Smart Animate is out. Is out is fine. If I go back and try that, okay, this is fine. Probably we need to adjust the curve there. Is out. Let's say custom bezier. I'm just gonna okay. Maybe when you're closing, maybe it's too slow. Potentially we could do 350. 350 should be working quite nicely. Yeah, that's fine. We'll also do one more thing, where if you try and drag anywhere, right, anywhere on the screen, it should also take you back. Let's say drag. So instead of Smart Animate, instead of custom in here, so there is an option for spring animation here. Let's say quick 600. So it just provides that spring motion. So Figma by default provides these things. If you also look at the custom bezier of the spring, like how this happens, you can also adjust these, or you could say, you could make it extremely. This is going to be super weird. Like it's going to come. Let's try that. Okay, I'm just going to keep it just the quick one option for now. I think it should be fine. They're also going to add the similar one for all of these as well. Going back here, Smart Animate, quick, correct. Going back here, Smart Animate, quick. Alright, tap on this. Wait, I think it didn't capture because it has to be on drag. On drag. Okay. Yep, I think this is really nice. So we managed to kind of do all the details. I think it took quite a long time, but I hope again I've tried to move as fast as possible because I also don't want to move really fast where you don't understand things. Hopefully I think this is helpful for you. If it is actually helpful, please do let me know in the comments. Hopefully I can also create more things, and also let me know in the comments in the sense like what are the different types of animations you want to create. Like, you can also give me a reference from other apps which you use, for example, say Deliveroo, Uber, etc. Right? So any specific things you like to recreate, or if you have any doubts on how to do certain things, also reach out to me on my Instagram. I'm gonna add my Instagram link as well. You can DM me to kind of get on a one-on-one call or anything to kind of sort things out. But other than that, I think this turned out to be really nice. So all good. Again, thank you so much for watching this, and hope you enjoyed it. I did. It was really good for me to kind of recreate and then find out all the, again, while you were actually doing, right, there's like a lot of fun and like not working, fixing it. Like it's quite fun. I really like doing the animations. Again, thank you so much again. See you on the next one. Bye bye.